Hello and welcome back to Writing Fighting. So for the next 5 episodes, we're calling these Why Swords. Why do swords exist the way they do? I'm going to go through this rack of swords one at a time and talk about each sword in its cultural context. So we're going to start with this arming sword, which could be as early as the 13th century, as late as the late 14th century. Quite frankly, arming swords like this exist into the 15th century. Small details may vary, but what remains similar in Europe is that we have a double-edged blade. It's got a nice broad cross-shaped hilt because Europeans really culturally liked their swords to look like crosses. That's why, and it may have actually inhibited the development of the complex hilt, by which I mean stuff to protect your fingers, because it was very symbolic. And if you read any of the early knight manuals, they all say that the sword is justice, the sword is the cross, the sword stands for religion. And you can't really ignore that. And you can't really ignore that Islamic swords were crescent shaped, and the crescent is a sacred symbol in the Middle East. So culture may have trumped efficiency. Are crescent shaped swords better than straight swords? It depends. And as a swordsman, I want to say that I think culture is probably more important than so-called killing efficiency. Okay, so what's interesting about this sword is double-edged because it's made from good steel and the smiths can trust both sides of the blade, and we'll be talking about that more. A nice big pommel to balance the weight of that blade, so this doesn't actually feel very heavy in my hand. It feels very nice. I can feel in this sword that it is evolved for a certain amount of swordplay. Still, single-handed, small, and by the end of the 14th century, people wear these almost as fashion decorations. It indicates you're a free person. It indicates you're in the knightly class. And then finally, because I'm just trying to make a lot of points in one video, by the late 14th century in most civilized cities, it's illegal to wear a sword in public. And that takes us to our next sword. See you next time.